is Inside Out.
Inside Out is presented by HTC. This is life. Connect with it. And Magnolia's at 26th for good old-fashioned Southern comfort food where Mama eats. Along with the McGuire Law Firm. Be kind today and tomorrow.
This is Inside Out, the show that goes inside and out of Horry and Georgetown counties. And this month, we're going to visit the Baxley Family Farm in Georgetown, Carolina Cheese Provisions in Conway, the Aspire Hub in Myrtle Beach, the Adaptive Surf Project in North Myrtle Beach, and Author in Conway. And if that wasn't all, we are also going to be visiting the Weatherford Knife Company. And that's exactly where we're going right now, as we're here in Gallivan's Ferry. We're in Gallivan's Ferry today with Chad Weatherford of Weatherford Knife Company. Started out here and it's now international. He has sold knives all over the world. And I'm just curious how it all began for you. Did your mom ever say stay away from knives?
No, she didn't. I had a lot of knives when I was smaller. But no, I did a outdoor competition in 2010 through 2013, and I did some outdoor shows, became friends with a knife maker. Never would have thought that I would have become a knife maker. And I started working with him, and he ended up moving away, so I just kept making, and and we're here today. I got knives in Smoky Mountain Knife Works in Sevierville, Tennessee, and it took off from there. So here I am. I'm in my cave every day grinding.
But right out of high school, I understand, you kind of went to Horry Georgetown Technical College.
I did.
And?
I did HVAC work. Started when I was 14, and then when I got out of high school, went to Tech. And I actually taught a few night classes at Tech, and did HVAC, had my own business for 8 years. And, we were tired of being on call 24/7, had small kids, and we were planning on moving, so I ended up selling my business and fell into knife making.
You were born or raised in Loris.
Yes, ma'am.
And so how come you didn't settle over there? You came to Gallivan's Ferry instead.
We were planning on moving to the Lexington, Columbia area because we love the bass fish, love the lakes. And we kind of got cold feet on moving, and our house was already on the market. We ended up selling it, and we liked the Gallivan's Ferry area.
Well,
so we ended up here.
And it's obviously been great for you.
It has.
I love this shed and what you do here. This is just fascinating because you don't just make the knives, you make the leather cases, you do it all. Let's talk a little bit about the product. Tell me about this.
This is a kitchen set. My goal several years ago was to make a block. So I made the knife block, and my intentions were to sell you a knife block and sell you a knife. And then you would come back to me each year and buy another knife or whenever a special occasion. But I had a lot of customers who wanted to have a whole block, a whole set already done. So here we go. I've got a set. It includes a chef knife. It includes a chopper, meat carver. This one actually has an oyster knife, a fillet knife, a bread spreader, a paring knife, and 6 steak knives. And I make the whole thing. I do the whole block. I do the knives, and I also do the cutting board. And these handles, you can make handles out of almost anything. These handles it's called burlap micarta.
You showed me this. That's
yes,
what
ma'am.
the handles are. What is this?
So they take burlap, and you can make micarta out of anything, like a linen or blue jean material, but this one is made out of burlap. So they'll take burlap, lay it down, and they fill it with resin, and then cure it, and it comes into a sheet just like that. And Westinghouse actually started making micarta, I think in the 50s, I believe, and they used it for insulators on power poles. That's where it originated.
You told me some people like to have the handles all shined up,
oh, yeah.
But you like it really natural.
I like the more satin finish look on the handles. It kind of mixes, the blade's got some shine to it. So I think it looks a little more, this looks a little more rugged looking. And we've got other people, I've done kitchen sets out of shiny stuff, just like this. This is an acrylic material.
Beautiful.
So it's really colorful. It's whatever really the customer prefers.
And what is this?
That is called jigged bone. So they'll take bone and then they jig it with like a router and then they dye it. So it almost looks like an antler base.
What is your hottest selling item?
Probably between the oyster knife and then what I call my signature series, medium with a Kydex sheath. I wear mine horizontal on my belt. It can be laced up onto a backpack, simply slipped into a pocket or a pocketbook, and that's probably the #1 selling knife. We had a show in Charleston last weekend, and I sold several of those and several of the oyster knives.
Chad, you were telling me too that there are people who come to you with a block of wood, much like this. I mean, this looks like something that came out of a fireplace.
A friend of mine, his grandparents' house burnt, and he asked me if I could take, a floor joist out of that house and then cut it up and make knife handles with it. So this is it. I mean, it's completely burnt, but the inside you can see is still good. So what I did, I cut that wood up into sections and I dried it, and then I would stabilize it. So by putting it in a resin, liquid resin into a vacuum chamber, and then I cook it. So the wood is going to last forever now, for sure, after it's gone through that process. But I've had people cut a chunk out of a pecan tree off of a limb or something that fell out of their yard. I've done several different things like that. Just it makes the knife mean more when it's finished.
Where's the furthest away someone's ordered from? I'm just curious.
I know we've got a customer in France who ordered an oyster knife. He sent us a picture with him holding a platter of oysters and an oyster knife. Another gentleman in Alaska, he does guided bear hunts, and he says he uses my knife on a daily basis. He's skinned several bear with it. I've shipped them to Mexico and all over the country. It's really awesome, because what I think about is this knife should be here when I'm dead and gone. This knife could be here for 100 years or 200 years. If it's taken care of, it'll be here forever. And that really means a lot to me, and it has my name on it. So that's what I really think is cool about knife making. I don't make the money I used to make in HVAC by no means, but I really enjoy doing this.
Well, it's your passion, and you can tell.
Is.
How do people take care of these knives?
The biggest thing with taking care of a knife is cleaning it and drying it. You can oil them occasionally, but my kitchen set in the kitchen, we wash it in the sink, dry it, put it back in the knife block.
Pretty easy.
It is. It is. The worst thing you can do with it, of course, is put it in a dishwasher, or use it and leave it on the counter wet, and then you've got to clean it with steel wool or something like that to bring it back. But as long as you keep it clean, put it in the block, it'll last forever.
So who locally sells your knives?
The gun store in Conway, J&K Outdoors, and we've also got an event coming up towards the end of this month on the 26th. It's called the Waccamaw Sportsman's Expo. So we're looking forward to that. This will be the first year of doing it, and I think the vendor list is filled up, so it should be a good event.
And I would guess there's people out there now who are going to want to call you and say, hey, I've got a piece of wood sitting in my yard that belonged to my great-grandpa.
Oh, yeah.
And you will help them figure out what to do with it.
Yes, ma'am. I can do that.
Chad's the man. It's Gallivan's Ferry and Weatherford Knife Company. Best wishes to you in the future.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
5 generations of farming. Meet the Baxleys and Black Mingo Produce next.
From the Grand Strand to the farmland, from Main Street to the marshes, HTC is here to connect you to what matters most in your life. We're here to bring people together, here to play, and here to empower our communities with the largest fiber optic network in the area. Go with HTC. We are here to connect you to your world.
This segment of Inside Out is brought to you by Magnolia's at 26th for good old-fashioned Southern comfort food, where Mama eats.
Today we're in the western part of Georgetown County. The area is called Rose Hill, and you're gonna want to make a stop here whenever you want fresh produce or delicious beef. I want you to meet Lloyd Baxley. Lloyd, tell everybody where we are and what we're doing here on this 5-generation farm.
Well, we're in the Rose Hill community, and we've been here for almost 50 years. Right down the road, my grandfather was born probably less than 2 miles from here, and his grandfather was. And we farm in this community and have slowly built this farm from, I'd say, probably less than 5 acres. And we're farming a sizable amount of land now. And we've, from a point where Connie and I got married, she actually helped us on the farm, me on the farm before we got married. And we have, it has evolved into a pretty good size operation. Both of my sons farm along with us, our daughter-in-law, and we've got 2 grandchildren, and everybody's involved.
I heard you had a grandson who definitely is going to take over someday.
Yeah.
He's into it.
Yeah, we have Cully and Hallie, and both of them, they help us during the summertime, and Cully is a grown-up little man.
So the name Black Mingo Produce, that in itself is historic.
Yeah, that is, and we live where our property borders Black Mingo, and we started thinking about names. We wanted the produce part to be separate from the farm. Josh pretty much led up the start of that. He was the one that wanted to plant the strawberries, and we decided we wanted to do something a little bit different. And the farm actually grows the produce, but Black Mingo Produce is be a kind of a separate entity. And I think we wanted to involve the name with where we lived and where we farmed.
Well, since you brought up the produce, and this being March, you'll certainly be multiplying here based on what you have now versus what you're going to have as the summer progresses.
Yeah, right now there's collards and broccoli and cabbage and lettuce, and the ladies have pastries or cakes and bread on the weekends, and but as the summer picks up, it'll probably start out with strawberries and squash, and start coming on into the other products, the other produce, sweet corn, watermelons, tomatoes, peas, butter beans, you name it, we have it. And we that last year we had an awful lot of people turn out, and folks were really excited, and we enjoyed the experience.
So the folks come here, they buy produce, but you also wholesale to many businesses that many of us shop at.
Yes, we do. We've got a couple of restaurants. We've got a company from the beach that we sell produce to that winds up in restaurants along the beach. And yes, that's been a big part of it.
But people tell me that one of the greatest things about all of you is the family operation. They said they can feel family when they come here. They sense the love. And that's got to mean a lot to you, Lloyd.
Yeah, almost everyone's involved. Connie's mother, my mother, and we've got some friends that help us out at the market when we're busiest time of the year. And everyone's involved. Cully, he picks up strawberries. He and Hallie, they pick up strawberries out of the field with the gator, and he is really into it. Hallie is too, and we've got some cousins that come and help, and I think people, when they leave here, they come happy, but we try to make them leave happier. So they really get the experience, and I think one of the things that I've thought that has really happened from this is making the connection with the public. And they get to ask questions and we get to answer them. And we get to project ourselves and what we do and what we're trying to accomplish here. We got to tell them a little bit about our story.
And of course, the produce is all grown here, but then you also have products like what's behind us
That's
here.
Right.
And they're all fresh from the farmers.
Yes, exactly. And one of the messages that we try to get across to folks, a lot of folks come in the door, did y'all grow this? And yes, we did. And there are some products like Milky Way Farms, fresh milk, dairy products. We've gotten to be good friends with Davis Peeler from the upstate, and there are peaches from St. Julian Plantation and a lot of other products. But when someone comes here, they know what farm or where that product comes from. We want to make sure people have know where the source of it is.
So you're really getting quite famous for your beef.
Well, we've started probably 35 years ago artificial inseminating cattle and developing a cow herd. And we've paid a lot of attention to the genetics that go into that cow herd. And most of the consumers don't know what the carcass traits are on cattle. And the carcass traits determine what kind of a steak gets put in front of you. And when you go out and spend money for a good steak, you want a very good eating experience. And we think we know we've got the genetics to do that. The other thing is we're finishing our steers out with feed grown from our farm. And we're really proud of that. And we've got a nutritionist that's involved with our operation, and he's got a 3-stage program for growing those steers out. And we're really excited about how that's going to turn out.
So will you have beef all year long, Lloyd?
Yeah, probably about the middle of March. From there on, it should have plenty of beef available.
So tell me about the acreage here.
Well, we're probably topping out over 2,000 acres now. We row crop a good bit. We've got 200 acres of tobacco. We've got approximately 150, 175 acres of coastal Bermuda and a good deal of pasture, but our farm continues to grow.
I heard that when you were in high school, you had a little tobacco patch, but you decided early on that wasn't going to be your full-time thing.
Yeah. My grandfather and I worked for him in the summer. He worked me all my life. From the time I was big enough to work, put it that way. And we decided that on his last year growing tobacco that I would have 1 acre of tobacco. And that acre of tobacco, I took the money. I didn't keep any of the money for myself. I put the down payment on a tractor, and my father, he nearly had a heart attack because I was in high school and I had bought a tractor, and that's where the farm started. From there on, it's just grown a little bit at a time. And like I said, when Connie and I got married, we just kept growing it and kept working at it, and it's been good. Our sons have been a big part of it, and my daughter-in-law, and we've got some great help, and it's good. It's good to work with these people.
Now, I understand that the phone's been ringing off the hook with people saying, when can I buy some strawberries?
Probably about the last week of March. They've been covering them and trying to keep the frost and the cold off of them, and they should be ready, and I'm looking forward to it myself. People are happy that come to pick strawberries, really happy. So by the way, we'll pick strawberries, or you can pick them and you can bring the whole family out, enjoy yourself.
In wrapping up, I want you to look into that camera and invite everyone to come out and thank them for their patronage.
Yeah, we want to really thank everyone that's been out and visited our store and visited our farm. We really appreciate you, and we look forward to the coming year.
I hope lots of people will come out to join you and visit with your farm and visit with your absolutely lovely family.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so very much. And friends, this is the place.
Cheese, wine, gelato. Wow, it's a new restaurant for Conway coming up on Inside Out.
Proper serving, proper distancing. We're into safety at Magnolia's.
Our staff now plates your food with all your favorite choices from the buffet, salad bar, and dessert bar.
And it's still all you can eat.
There's also breakfast, evening, and an expanded Sunday buffet. Mama says she can't cook it that cheap. Plus, the kids will love the yummy ice cream machine. Named Small Business of the Year by the Chamber of Commerce. Magnolia's, it's where Mama eats.
The Home Show is sponsored by the Horry Georgetown Home Builders Association, which is held every year around February, reminds us that spring is just around the corner. Our HTC Inside Out cameras were there. What a great new addition to the Conway area. This is Carolina Cheese and Provisions, and this is Brandon Lynn, the owner. It is a beautiful place. It smells fabulous, and I have not eaten here yet, I've got to be honest, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to make a reservation before I leave.
All right, I'm going to hold you to it.
Tell me about the whole concept.
Well, coming to Conway, I realized after living in New York City for a while, I knew that we needed something that we could buy cheese, specialty products. I love food, I love to cook, and I knew that there were a lot of other people like me that were looking for this, driving to Charleston or Wilmington to get specialty products. So it was thought out for a while, for about a year, and then the space became available, and it was just like, okay, it's time to do it. If we're going to do it, let's do it. And it's been a great response.
4 months already.
4 full, busy months of cheese sales, charcuterie sales, beautiful lunches and early dinners. We have a full menu, full wine list. All of our beers are local from South Carolina, artisanal beers. It just doesn't end there. We have a bunch of retail products for tabletop in the house, mostly Vietri, which is a beautiful one of our partners that have, it's all hand-painted stuff imported from Italy. We also have had a very successful wine series that all of the dinners have been sold out, and there's a waiting list for the future ones that we've even yet to announce. So, it's been exciting to see the response from locals that are thrilled to have us in the area, whether it's coming by for a glass of wine and a cheese board in the afternoon, having lunch, or doing one of the wine dinners.
Now, you mentioned early dinner because you currently are closing at 6,
right,
which is interesting, but there are a lot of people that want to eat at 4 or 5.
There are, and we're typically full from 11 to 2 on, and then there may be a little lull, but then around 2:30 people start coming in if they're off for the afternoon, or maybe it's 2 girlfriends wanting to come in and have a little cheese board and a bottle of wine to share. So, it works in that way. We will be expanding our hours later as we get more staff in the door, but that's what...
I predict they're going to need a bigger location. That's all I can tell you. So let's talk about some of the things that are on this table. Someone told me they come in here and buy the best olive oil ever.
Well, we do have great olive oil. My dear friends are in Verona, Italy, and they have Cordioli olive oil, and I've known them for years. It started as a labor of love. This is one example of the beautiful oils that we have here, and it is a finishing oil. You don't cook with it, but it's so beautiful and fragrant, and once you have it, you want it in your pantry.
Now, this that you've served me, and y'all need to know that we're taping the show at 8:30 in the morning, and I said, well, Brandon, we can't drink alcohol, but he tells me
Cheers.
This is non-alcoholic.
Toast.
Delicious.
And that's the name of the product. It's been very popular for our...
And toast is good at breakfast.
And toast is good at breakfast, but yeah, it's been very popular. It's a white tea. They have 2 types. This one is the rosé, and it's with ginger and elderberry.
Wonderful.
So,
then it's good for you.
It's good for you. The
Yeah.
elderberry, I think doesn't that help our memory or something?
When people come in and they want a charcuterie tray, and there's some people that have never even had such a thing, you can fix anything that they want. In other words, you can specialize it.
We can specialize it. We do have a chef's artisanal board that's on the menu, and that's a good one to start with when you come in, because even if you've come in for the first time, you get a good selection of what we have that's current in the case, that's tasty and unique. And if you're a regular, you know that typically there's a conversation and we say, let's talk about what you had last time. And then we start talking about what's new in the store. And then typically Jesse will come up with a new cheese board for the regular that's been here 3 times.
Speaking of Jesse, he makes pasta from scratch.
Beautiful pasta. I mean, living in Italy for 13 years, I would think that he would have caught that by now. But yes, he's done it and does it very well every day here at the shop. And this is a lasagna that he made with taleggio bechamel and prosciutto and Parmesan cheese.
No red sauce.
No red sauce in this, so, you know, it's all simple ingredients, fresh ingredients, and that's sort of what I think the philosophy has always been for me when it comes to food. You know, we're not putting 14 ingredients in a dish and making you hunt for what's in there. So it's all very clean and tasty and fresh. And that goes with our sandwiches. We have something called an IFG, which really stands for Italy, France, and Greece. And it's one of our beautifully baked baguettes with Parma prosciutto. And then we have a French brie on it. And then it's drizzled in balsamic fig glaze that's from Greece.
Sold.
So you've got all the representations, and it's a beautiful, delicate sandwich that you can taste everything. Same with our ham and cheese. Our ham is baked here in store. It comes from a farm in Dixie, Georgia called Thompson Farms. No nitrates, raised open pasture like they do in Spain on a lot of acorns. So, you know, it's a beautiful ham sandwich made from ham that we bake in the store, and we sell it here as well.
Right. I was going to say you got a cabinet full over there. And then you've got a sandwich named after Conway.
Yes, we do, the Conway caper. It's sort of a take on, you know, a bagel with cream cheese, if you will. And all of my northern implant friends come in and they're thrilled to see that we've got smoked salmon, which is lox typically called sometimes up in the north, and then with capers. So why not the Conway caper? And this is prosciutto di Parma with sweetgrass dairy from Thomasville, Georgia, Green Hill Brie, and then we have some beautifully dried pears, and then Turali, which is an Italian snack cracker from Puglia. So try a little prosciutto, try some Turali, but
delicious.
These might be things you would find
in Italy.
In Italy, but also here in the store.
Obviously. Let's mention retail because, yes, the plates, the silverware, all the beautiful gift ideas.
Well, I've always loved Vietri simply because they, you know, it's always a showpiece, and the craftsmanship on it is absolutely stunning, and people love it in this area. And there's really, you know, in Conway, this is the only place, in Myrtle Beach as well, to get Vietri.
It's beautiful, absolutely. And I'm very curious, Brandon, what is this?
Yes, that's our Dodge City salami. It's a Smoking Goose product, which is an American-made product. We sell a lot of their stuff. Beautiful company, American company, raising and creating these products as they would in Italy, old world style. So yeah, we have small versions of this grand version for sale in the store. It's very popular salami to take and enjoy at home.
Because that could last you right till the end of 2022.
Well, that and a good, you know, glass of wine, or at least a big vat of wine.
Speaking of wine,
we have great wine selection here in the store. It's very, very well curated, well thought out. Food-friendly wines, easy to drink and enjoy, and a lot of fun, creative stuff there. So there's always something to explore here at Carolina Cheese and Provisions, whether it's a giant salami or a great bottle of wine or toast or homemade pasta or beautiful cheese and meats.
And you know I'm not leaving without tasting your gelato.
Well, that's right. We didn't bring the gelato up, but now that you've brought it up, we can...
Who else serves gelato around here?
It's been a big, big hit. And Conway, the locals, and even people from North Myrtle and Surfside, they come in and then they want the gelato. So it's been fun to see all the kids at heart from all ages enjoying a scoop of gelato.
So can people make reservations?
Yes, we encourage reservations here during our business hours. So if you want a table, especially if you're a larger party, it's certainly necessary almost, because we have limited seating, but we get you in, and once you're in and you're seated, we have a good time.
And the hours, one more time.
Sure. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturdays right now, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
It's a wonderful place. When you walk in, it just smells like Italy here in Conway. And of course, the name is
Carolina Cheese and Provisions.
Ask for Brandon Lynn. Thanks, Brandon. Let's hit the gelato.
Thanks, Diane.
Don't go away. Lessons from a mom about her son's addiction. Coming up on Inside Out.
From Merle's Inlet to Marion. From the golf courses to the area's gorgeous beaches. HTC is here to connect you with the largest fiber optic network in the area. We are here to help our communities. Here to help you benefit as a member of our local cooperative. And here to empower the moments that are important in your life. We're HTC, and we're here to connect you to your world.
Our Inside Out cameras are in Conway today, and I want you to meet my new friend. This is Wanda Cooke. Wanda called and told me that she had put a book together, kind of compiled all sorts of things that her son had written. She gives her son credit for writing the book, Matthew A. Cooke, Joy Comes in the Morning. And so I'm going to let you tell the story about this beautiful soul, Matthew.
Our son Matthew was a delight and a joy. When he was born, we were just thrilled to have a little baby boy. And he had a very normal childhood. His father and I was a stay-at-home mom, and his father was a professor at Coastal Carolina University. And so we had no reason to ever think that his life would not be just one that was just perfect. Unfortunately, there were so many things now looking back that we know showed and would know that he was going to have problems later on in life.
He was dealing with depression and mood swings, and then finally addiction. Let us say that in the book you say that Matthew passed away in November of 2019.
Yes.
And yet you have brought him back to life, really, with this book. But you have said to me that you wrote this book to help other parents because it tells the story of a young man growing up in church with a wonderful family, but still dealt with demons.
Yes, and that's what I want to do. I want to be able to tell other parents that just because your child seems to be okay, that there are so many things that they are confronted with in school today and just in our society. And so many times parents don't realize or see the problems that the children are having until it's too late. And that was our case. Matthew was depressed. Little did I know at the time that there was some things going on that we weren't aware of. And as he got older, it just became a real problem for him.
Now, he lived to be 49.
Yes.
But you said from the time high school on through, addiction issues were so prevalent.
Yes, they were. We started first really recognizing and seeing problems when he was about 18, 19 years old, which is unusual because usually if a child has a problem, it shows up much earlier than that in life. We did not realize at the time if we had gotten help for him early, it may have been, taken a different path. But we didn't know, and that's what I want to do is I want to educate parents to let them know that there are things that they can do. We didn't know, and it's too late. It was too late for us. He went to many, many different rehabs, but unfortunately he would come home and it wouldn't be very long until he would be right back into the same pattern again of just drinking alcohol and using drugs.
You told me that you know that there have been addiction issues in previous family members, and a lot of families don't realize just like when you're an alcoholic, you may have an alcoholic child later. I mean, this is definitely something that's hereditary.
Yes, it is. And that is something that a lot of parents don't realize. We were told by friends who meant well, they would say, oh, your son's not doing anything that other kids are not doing. But what they didn't realize is that so many times when you start at such a young age, because of the genetic component involved, they don't stop. And it becomes a way of life, and it just steals their life.
Wanda, you told me that many of the stories in the book that Matthew wrote, he had read to you while he was growing up. He'd say, well, Mom, what do you think of this story? Mom, what do you think of this story? So you knew he was a great writer. But what was it like to find some of his writings after he was gone?
It was very, very hard. Lots of tears were shed. The very first story in this book is My First Love, My Mama. And when you read this, you would know why it affected me the way it did. I mean, I had shed lots and lots of tears when I read that. One thing I want to mention, a lot of the stories and a lot of the things that he wrote in there are based on experiences that he had as a child and as a teenager, because we were fortunate enough that we were able to travel. And we went across the United States several times. And so he wrote the things he writes about when he talks about the desert and the glaciers and the mountains. He's been there and experienced these things.
Does he write about the demons in his life?
He does. Yes, he does. There's a section in there that's called Sufferings. And when you read this, I had no idea how much Matthew suffered until I read those particular writings. And that was the hardest part for me. When I read those and I saw the depth of his sadness and the depth of his sufferings, it was very, very difficult. And again, it shed lots of tears. Throughout the process of writing this or compiling the book, I read it so many times and read the stories and the poems and the prayers. There's prayers, there's poems, there's short stories in this book. And I read it so many times that I almost knew it by heart. But yet, up until, say, June or July of that year, after February when I started this, I would still cry every time I would read some of them. And even today, it's hard, it's still hard to read some of them.
Tell us about the title.
Joy Comes in the Morning. Matthew had a faith in Jesus Christ. His faith was very, very strong. And even though he suffered the way he did, he never forgot and gave credit. He always gave credit to God. And he would say to me all the time, Mom, if it wasn't for God, I know that I wouldn't be here today. He gave him the credit for everything. And even though at night we would be so sad, he always knew that there was hope and that there was life, after this life here on earth.
I know that your dream now is to go into churches and civic groups and any sort of speaking opportunity. You even told me that if there's a family out there with young children and they're concerned, you'll meet with them. I mean, this is your mission, huh?
Yes, it is. It really is. The purpose of writing this book, of course, as I stated earlier, was healing for me. It was very healing for me. But it was to bring glory to God and to let people know that there is always hope. As long as there's breath, there's hope. And I don't want people to get so discouraged. You can't do this alone. This is not one of those things that families can do alone. There's a lot of support groups out there. I know that there are, but I feel like that one more support group or one more person that can encourage you the way I would like to be an encourager to people would be a great thing. And I would love to do that to people. I would love to be able to go and talk to teenagers even, because so many teenagers do not realize the sadness and the heartache and what eventually happens. So many times all they see is the fun and the parties and the good times. And I want them to know that, yeah, you can have a good time, and yes, it can seem fun, but there's an afterwards too.
And then hearing it from a parent of the pain and angst and anguish that you have been through as a result of losing Matthew.
Yes.
Kids never think about that.
They do not. They do not. They don't see that part of it. They don't see the heartache. They don't see the people that lose their jobs or can't find work or, can't even have a family. They lose their families. There's just so many things.
Well, I'm anxious to finish the book. I read part of it and it just touched my heart. The book is Joy Comes in the Morning. Where can people get this book?
It can be ordered on barnesandnoble.com, booksamillion.com, and amazon.com.
Anywhere locally?
I have some books here if someone is interested in getting a book from me. I will tell you this too, at Curtains and Things in downtown Conway, they do have some copies there that they can go and purchase.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your beautiful story, and thank you for bringing Matthew back to life through this
book.
And
thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to share my son.
You got it, Wanda. Right after this, the Adaptive Surf Project of North Myrtle Beach announces their new national mission.
HTC is here to connect you to the things that matter most in your life. With the area's largest fiber optic network, HTC is here with the fastest speeds to help power your day. Do a little multitasking. Keep the peace. All to help your day run smoother than ever before. See how HTC is here to connect you to your world and take advantage of these great offers today.
This segment of HTC Inside Out is presented by the McGuire Law Firm. Be kind today and tomorrow.
We're getting ready to learn about the Adaptive Surf Project, an amazing organization of all volunteers who help special needs people get what they deserve here on the beach like the rest of us. That's a good way to put it, don't you think, Luke?
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, that's a nice way to put it.
Because we all love the beach, and why shouldn't everyone? Luke, first of all, tell us about your organization and how it all began and the things that you normally do.
We started, I think around 10 years ago, somewhere in that neighborhood. One of my buddies, Brock Johnson, he was injured in an accident, and he's a surfer, and he wanted to keep surfing. And it took a little bit of adapting of the surfboards to make it comfortable for him to surf. And then we had some other friends, Veronica and Chris, and we built some adaptive surfboards for them, and just kind of grew from there. To where Brock has this event, he calls it Will to Surf, right? And he spells it will, like a wheel in a wheelchair or something. And the idea is that we would have this big event, and we take individuals that happen to have a disability surfing, right? And again, it's not about like what type of disability you have or whatever, because all of us have something going on you need help with, right? But the main thing is like. We were designing and building surfboards that had adaptations that an individual that happens to maybe be in a wheelchair or happens to have something like Down syndrome or anything, and it would prevent them to surfing maybe like what we consider like a traditional surfing way. We adapt the board so they can surf, and a lot of times, in fact most of the time, we do tandem surfing where we'll get an experienced surfer on the back of a board and an individual that needs some help on the front of the board, and we'll ride waves together. And sometimes some amazing magical things happen with that. And then other times, some of these individuals that started out surfing like that become very skilled at adaptive surfing, and can do things that some people can only dream of. Some of the surfing maneuvers and stuff. Even surfing prone. If you can't stand up and you're laying on a board, and you're using your shoulders to turn the board. I've seen some amazing things from some of our local surfers.
Luke, tell us when the event is this year.
Okay, actually we have a number of events scheduled. Right here in Cherry Grove on May 21st is the next Will to Surf. We will be taking anywhere from 60 to up to maybe 100 individuals that happen to have disability surfing. We're going to need about 100 to 150 volunteers for that. So it's a massive undertaking of organization. And we will have it divided up into heats where We'll have about 6 teams taking individual surfing, and they'll take them surfing for about a half an hour, and then come up, take 6 more people, come up, and we'll do that all day. There'll be lunch, there'll be entertainment, after parties. It's going to be fun. And then we'll do another one in Surfside on, I think it's August 20th. It'll be that one. Same deal. But those events are like, kind of gives you a taste, right? Like a half an hour. I mean, I'm a surfer, so I'm out here all the time, right? And a half an hour is not enough. So most of the individuals we take surfing want to do it more. So a lot of times we're just hanging out here at the beach on Sundays during the summer, and people just show up. We take them surfing, very informally.
In addition to this wonderful event that you do, you have a dream, your organization does, to provide beach wheelchairs to every pier up and down the East Coast,
Yeah.
not just in Horry County.
Right, we're going big. I mean, the thing is, a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, we put a wheelchair up on the pier, a beach wheelchair, and the individuals that work there said, "What do you want to do? Do you want to leave a credit card? Blah blah." I'm like, "No, we're going to put the beach wheelchair on the pier. Anybody who wants to use it comes up and uses it. They don't have to sign anything, they don't have to leave anything, no deposit, nothing. Just take the wheelchair and use it, bring it back when they're done, and that's it. If it gets lost, broken, stolen, we'll replace it with another one." And it has been used all the time. All summer when I'm here at this pier surfing, I see individuals using that beach wheelchair. And it's one of the traditional beach wheelchairs. They cost like almost $3,000. They have the big fat wheels, right? And they're made with PVC, and they break. You know, I think we've had in the last 3 years, maybe we've had 3 or 4 wheelchairs up there. And we have some skilled volunteers that repair them and so forth. So we see what impact it made at this pier. So I'm like, if you know, a pier is like a beacon, right? It's like a lighthouse on the shore. People know when they see a pier, they know it's there. So my idea was, or not my idea, actually it was my friend Van Horn. He's on the board. He came up with this idea, like, let's put one at every pier on the East Coast. I'm like, that could happen.
Horry County, Georgetown County
All the
to
way down.
start, and then
Miami,
all the way up and down.
Maine, the whole thing.
I love it. So
Yeah.
that means you're going to have to get other organizations, though, to help you.
Yes, and it's going to have to go like viral. It's not, we're going to do it ourselves. So, but I think it's something that's not controversial that could happen, and it's something that would make a big impact. And to that end, we also decided that, you know, the wheelchairs that we're using weren't the best because people were like stuck in them. Once you're in those wheelchairs, you have to have someone pushing you. So I talked to this individual's name is Ben Huntzinger. Ben Huntzinger, that's his name. He lives in Georgia, and he also uses a wheelchair, but he's one of these guys that has a welding shop, and he built this wheelchair for us.
It's amazing. And it's much cheaper than the other.
Much cheaper. He basically sells it to us at cost. And it has, it's sturdy, it's stronger, it's gonna be harder to break. It has handles so a person can push themselves if they want to. We've been practicing this thing. We really can't find anything wrong with it. It goes through loose sand, hard sand. You get it wet, you spray it off. We're gonna put a nice pad on here and everything and like that. But this is the one we're gonna use. It's much cheaper. It's like maybe a fourth or a fifth of the cost of the traditional beach wheelchairs that we buy. And also it's made right here. You know, it's made in America. It's made in Georgia by an individual that knows what he's talking about because he like uses a wheelchair normally. And I mean, it's a win-win. I think this is going to be a big game changer for a lot of folks.
Luke,
you know?
how many wheelchairs do we need, do you think, in Horry and Georgetown counties? What sort of goal?
That's a great question. I think there's probably a pier about every 20 miles, right? In the Grand Strand, and then it kind of
some closer.
Maybe get some closer, and then there's gaps where there's none. You know, and I imagine there's from here to Georgetown there's a bunch, and then when you get down to Charleston, there's more. But I see this as something that's not it's achievable. I mean, it's going to happen because I know that other organizations get involved. I mean, at some point we all get in a situation where we're disabled, whether it's our age or an accident or whatever happens. So at some point it might be something. If you want to get on this beach, you're going to need something like this, right? And so for me, it's a game changer. If we can just adapt the beach, then we can get individuals on the beach. Then we adapt the surfboards, get individuals surfing.
So Luke, finally, let's brag about your proudest accomplishment through this organization.
Yeah, and there are a lot of things that happen in this organization that I'm super proud of, and it's by all the hundreds of people that volunteer and the brave people that participate. I think of like Ernie Johnson and Brock Johnson and Mark and some of these other guys and Veronica that we took out to California. They participated in the first in the national adaptive surfing championships. We've had individuals win and place. We had an individual participate in the World Adaptive Surfing Championships.
And these are people who live here?
Live here, live in Myrtle Beach and North Myrtle Beach, and we partnered with JetBlue. They flew us out for free, and people donated money to put us up in houses. It was amazing.
Oh, wonderful.
And then we went to South America and to Colombia and helped start an organization down there where they're still doing adaptive surfing.
Y'all are blossoming.
Yeah, it's moving around, yeah.
I think it's great. You know, I didn't say this in the beginning of the interview, but Luke is a school teacher with Horry County Schools, teaches languages, art, music, and I tell you, if they had an award for the coolest teacher in Horry County, you would be it. I bet the kids just love you, a surfer at that.
Well, thanks.
So Luke Sharp, thank you so much for sharing this information about Adaptive Surf Project. We wish you the very best of luck. And if you would like to contribute to a Wheelchair Friends or participate in the games, we've got the website for you and all the information right there.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Luke.
Entrepreneurs, get ready. The Aspire Hub in Myrtle Beach is ready for you. Coming up next on Inside Out.
When you're seriously injured, where should you turn? Turn to a law firm that has deep roots fighting for members of our community.
McGuire Law Firm is here. The same familiar faces you see on TV or around town are actually the same faces you'll see when you walk into our office.
We're here. We're here.
And we're here. And when the time comes, we'll fight for you every step of the way.
McGuire Law Firm, in your community, fighting for you.
We have just attended the grand opening of the HTC Aspire Hub, a very exciting endeavor, and this is at 9th Avenue North in Myrtle Beach. It's a 10-year dream, and this man has been part of the dream for 10 years. Jason Green, you actually work full-time for Habitat for Humanity as their executive director, so how did you get involved in this organization?
Well, a little over 10 years ago, I thought I wanted to be a software developer, so I met a man named Paul Reynolds. And he had this vision of creating a co-working space right here in Myrtle Beach. And so he asked me, he's like, do you know anybody that has some space? So he ended up setting up a small co-working space right on 21st Avenue North. And I got to learn about what he was trying to do, about building an entrepreneurial ecosystem and supporting the technology professionals that are here. And I just love the vision and I love the idea. And me, along with some other folks, came together and said, we really embrace this idea and let's see if we can make it happen.
Tell me about this committee you were involved in, the name of it and how it worked.
So early on when Mayor Bethune first got elected in her first term, she contacted me and we started talking about entrepreneurship within the city of Myrtle Beach, knowing that I've had a history of working with it prior to her being elected. And she decided that she wanted to form the technology advisory group for the city to help with entrepreneur support, but also breeding an innovative spirit within the city to help support innovation at the city.
And so now, 10 years later, this building opens, and what will actually happen here? Let's kind of go through the nuts and bolts of it all.
So the interesting thing about this space is it's designed to support entrepreneurs and their journeys to create these grand, scalable companies that can have far reaches outside of the city limits of Myrtle Beach. So we want to provide the support, the resources, and the technical know-how of how to navigate through that challenging ecosystem that they have found themselves in. But even in addition to that, it's also here to support technology professionals and artisans and makers and really bring them together to create an opportunity for them to build the next great thing.
HTC, who of course we do this TV show for, has partnered with you from the very beginning. What have they brought to the table?
So HTC has been a great partner. They had representation on the TAG committee when we first kind of decided that this was the initial direction we wanted to go, to have a co-working space for the city of Myrtle Beach. And they've also come to partner with the city in terms of bringing funding and an opportunity to and in-kind support to help support this space and the creation of this space.
So you've been a volunteer on this committee. Now you certainly need an executive director or someone to run the place.
That's right. So as part of the committee work, we actually spun off a nonprofit called Emerge. And Emerge is designed to kind of run the programmatic side of supporting entrepreneurs, as well as cultivating the support network and the resources necessary for entrepreneurs and to technology professionals that might be in the space. So the executive director is Barb Royal. She's been a long-term entrepreneur. She's been steeped in this community for the last 10 years as well. She certainly knows what entrepreneurs need, and she'll be running the programs and working with Ray Antonino, our entrepreneur in residence, to really support entrepreneurs in the way that they need to be supported.
I guess networking is important too with this business.
It is. Yeah, networking is probably the most important thing that anybody that's involved in this space can do. One, folks are looking for folks, but having a broad knowledge of who's available and who can do what is certainly a very important part, and the resource list and the support network is really based on all the grassroots networking that everyone does.
If somebody was interested in getting involved with Aspire, what can they do?
So they can go to the website at emerge.org, and they can learn all about the programmatic offerings, the support, and the resources that may be available for entrepreneurs. And if you're a tech professional and you want to work in this space, it's a great way to meet other tech professionals, or if you're an artisan or a maker and you want to be involved in this space, it's a great way of really networking and getting to know the community that you're a part of.
Today was very exciting, watching the city work with the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber and having the ribbon cutting. You had to be really pleased with the attendance today.
Yeah, it's really neat to see the outpouring of support of the entire community. A lot of technology professionals are here. A lot of folks that are not even involved in technology came today to show their support for such a wonderful journey that this has been.
And I heard that you're going to be running a lot of events here. Like what?
So the events that we'll have in this space are going to be really tailored towards helping entrepreneurs and technology professionals kind of hone their craft. So we'll have classes like for WordPress programming. We'll also have classes to teach how venture capital works or how angel investing works. We'll also have bigger events where they're more grander in scale, where we'll have entrepreneurs pitch their ideas to a group of audience members and be voted on who has the best idea. And we'll have a startup weekend is coming in May, which will have a 50-hour marathon of creating some new projects from scratch and see what kind of sticks. It's a really neat opportunity to kind of bring the community together and build the culture that we're really after.
Well, we want to thank your team, the tag team, right?
The tag team, that's right.
I mean, for 10 years, and you believed in it, it happened today on 9th Avenue in Myrtle Beach. It's HTC Aspire Hub. Any final words, Jason?
Come on down and get some resources and some support. That's what they're all about.
And everyone can watch this grow and help Myrtle Beach to grow as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
Next month, April will be in bloom, and so will Inside Out, as we feature helpful hints on lawn care, Jason's house, a stroke support group, a fiber artist, Easter candy, and a whole lot more. I'll see you next month with another edition of Inside Out.
Inside Out is presented by HTC. This is Life. Connect with it. And Magnolia's at 26th. For good old-fashioned Southern comfort food, where Mama eats. Along with the McGuire Law Firm. Be kind today and tomorrow.